What's going on, my fellow A-Plusers? It is I, your Morphinominal host, Adam Perez, back once again as we are here to tackle Ultraman Trigger, episode number 3. I gotta say, I think viewers are certainly impressed with Ultraman Trigger so far. I went back and checked episodes 1 and 2 just to see what the view count was. Episode 1 is like 1.8, 1.9 views in like 2 weeks. Last week's episode 2, already to 1.1 million views. A little bit of drop off. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe further drop off as the season certainly progresses. It would be nice to see it certainly hit 1 million views in its first week. Also, we'll see if it comes to that or if it maybe just peaks just under. But regardless, I think that's a pretty good outing in regards to being able to keep, I feel like, at least what, 60% of your viewership certainly still around from week 1 to week 2. Looks pretty impressive to me, guys. But I'm kind of curious to know how you guys are certainly enjoying Ultraman Trigger so far, as I'm really enjoying it. And episode 3 for me was yet another banger this week. It's one that I certainly enjoyed. 3 for 3 if you ask me, and I feel like this season so far, just 3 episodes in, the past 3 episodes have gotten better and better and better if you ask me. This was actually a pretty fun episode this week. Continue to really enjoy just some of the cast chemistry right in between some of our characters that we have in here. The plot continues to thicken. Some answers, you know, kind of pop up, but certainly more questions. I'm a sucker. I'm like a historian mythos type of lore sucker. So the fact that we have them with like these ancient ruins they're examining, trying to figure out how all the pieces in regards to the Giants of Light and the Giants of Darkness and Yuzara kind of all come together or fit together. I absolutely love that as we're watching the Shizuma Foundation kind of put the pieces together. And not only on top of that, but great drama, I feel like. Again, great characters, and of course the action this week, once again, just incredible stuff, continues to blow me away. And again, I think because of the fact that the character stuff and the stories seem to be relatively strong, I think the action being as good as it is just really even puts this season over the top for me so far. So as my first Ultraman experience, I gotta say a fantastic job so far with the production company and the effort and amount of detail that they're putting into it, because I'm really enjoying myself week to week so far. So if you guys have been sticking around for Ultraman Trigger, please, again, at the end of the day, these are just my A+ opinions, but I certainly want to know yours. So please let your thoughts be known in regards to this week's episode in the live chat or the comment section box below. And of course, the villains continue to pop out to me, and some, again, really strong supporting cast, and we'll definitely go ahead and talk about both of those here in this episode. But the person that I definitely want to start talking about in regards to things that jumped out at me this episode is in fact Yuna, also known as Yuzari, as we come to eventually find out that she is in fact an ultra-ancient priestess that was certainly around during that time, that is clearly embodying the body of Yuna. This is something that we kind of suggested, maybe that Yuzara is this alien or this spirit or whatever the case that might be embodied inside of Yuna, and that definitely is the case. What her overall role is certainly still a mystery, but she has at least come out and at least warned the Ultraman and the team to go ahead and protect the Eternity Core, is what she certainly called it. So it's clearly more answers, more questions, even though we did at least get some answers in regards to Yuzari a little bit, at least making us as a viewer quite aware as to kind of what's going on there. So I thought that was rather interesting. And for me, the idea of also seeing that, you know, you've got somebody in her father, in Chairman Shizuma, that knows all of this is certainly happening and isn't telling his daughter anything whatsoever, which I find really interesting. Those type of things, when you keep secrets from people, right, they're eventually going to come out, and I really want to see what that drama is going to be like when Yuna finds out, if it's something that either her father tells her or if Yuna finds out on her own. And I'm leaning personally to the idea that she's gonna find out first before anybody can kind of tell her, but that's just my assumption. And the only reason why I say that is because at the end of this episode, when you see that she winds up awakening in the bed, the one thing she asks herself is, how did I get here, right? The notion of passing out and waking up someplace completely different has got to raise kind of questions within that character character, you know what I mean? So it wouldn't surprise me if Yuna starts picking around, asking some questions, trying to figure out what's wrong with her before her father even gets the opportunity to explain it to her. Or who knows, maybe somebody in guts, whether that be Kengo himself tells her because he feels she certainly needs to, or maybe it's somebody like Akito who seemingly is keeping the secret with Shizuma. It seems as though we've got ourselves it looks like a tight bond and a triple promise sort of thing, but I am kind of curious if there's somebody that's going to be the weak link or if Yuna finds out on her own. But again, I enjoy the drama that it's definitely going to bring, and again, allowing us to at least give us a little bit of an answer, but yet another question that kind of follows. So like for instance, I definitely would like to know why Yuzari wind up choosing Yuna as the body. Like what activated it to where she felt she had to kind of hide herself, you know what I mean, and only come out whenever it was absolutely needed to. So I am wondering if there's anything special about Yuna that she decided to go ahead and do that. Or maybe it was a case of, look, her father discovered the ancient ruins. Yuzari was either trapped in the ruins, and when they excavated or something, maybe it jumped into the nearest body, and that was in fact Yuna. We'll definitely see, but I am looking very forward to kind of finding out. Just a side note in regards to the Yuna storyline in here, I do love the fact that the beginning of this episode sort of really clears up the situation between Akito and Yuna, right? When we get to see that the captain of the ship now has kind of exclusively put Kengo and Yuna together as he's working on his training, right? Yuna now has to kind of like escort him everywhere, or at least they're a team at this point. I love the immediate reaction of Akito, who was just so worried the entire time, just like, no, don't do this, like don't put somebody else in her life, please, don't cock block me any more than I already am. And I thought it was absolutely hilarious. And then to make matters worse, to find out that you're friend zoned, right? Like in Palcatraz, as somebody once told me, the idea that it's, you know, once she views you as a sibling, even though you guys aren't related, you've been living together and things like that. Unfortunately, that's put your tombstone up for you, my guy. Like it's over already. Like just stop trying. So poor Akito, now that Yuna has solidified the idea that we're kind of like siblings, you could just see the reaction on Akito's face. Like you could just see his heart breaking across his face of like, siblings? Oh God. Like he just immediately knew he was friend zoned. So, you know, listen, it makes me laugh because, you know, I want to root for the guy. I don't necessarily know if he's the smoothest criminal in the book, you know, but I kind of want to root for him. The fact also that they bring up that Yuna is in high school, so I have no idea how old Kengo is. I don't know if that's even like legal or whatever the case may be. But I almost feel like with Akito and Yuna, while I definitely am rooting for the guy, I almost wonder if that'll work out, or if she's got other plans in her life. We'll definitely see what happens, but I just thought the Akito and Yuna stuff was actually pretty funny here in this particular week's episode. But it seems as though, because of the fact that Yuna is in fact Yuzari, she's got some pretty important people that are trying to hunt her down. And we get introduced to two characters in here. One of the characters who I'm hoping that they'll eventually develop, the greatest treasure hunter in the universe. His name is in fact Ignis. He is an alien from the planet Lushurian. Lishurian is what they actually refer to him as in this episode. But he comes and he tries to actually kidnap Yuna for himself. He's out to get the most exquisite things in the universe, and he definitely considers Yuna just that. And Yuna is in fact who Ignis wants. Her worth alone of who she is makes her exquisite, right? Maybe even more so now that her true identity has kind of been revealed. He clearly seems to know who she is, right? The fact that she activates in front of Ignis, and as he runs away, he says something along the lines of like, you guys have done it now, sort of thing, or you guys shouldn't have done that. But I think the fact alone, he even points out, he's like, look, the Shizuma Foundation, right? They're up there trying to colonize Mars, doing big things. And you're the Harris of the Shizuma Foundation, right? You are, in fact, the princess, if you will, of all things. So you're probably worth a little something. You're probably quite important if your company is literally colonizing and doing things over on Mars. You're probably worth something. So I love the idea that his term is exquisite, that he wants pretty much the finest things that he can find in the galaxy. And I love the fact that he discovers that Kengo is in fact Ultra Trigger. We clearly saw Chairman Shizuma letting Kengo know the one thing you got to be careful for, man, is your secret identity. Don't let anybody know who you are. And in the process of transforming, we do see that Ignis discovers who it is. And the fact that he discovers who it is, it's also a little exquisite, if you will, about what the Ultraman Trigger powers are certainly capable of. So not only does Ignis now have his eyes on Yuna, but now Ultraman Trigger as well. And I'll be really interested to see how he tries to acquire that power for himself. Now, the actor that plays Ignis in here, very familiar to you guys if you've been following other tokusatsu series like Super Sentai. He actually, the actor that actually is portraying Ignis was also Bosco in Gokaiger, the Gokaiger season of Super Sentai, and he was one hell of a villain, I gotta tell you. But to now have him in here, was that 10 years later or so, in this particular series, he looks great as the character. Being able to see him without all the big wig and the hat and just kind of see him a little bit more. Great costume design for him as a treasure hunter throughout the universe. He looks great, and I gotta tell you, I really am a big fan of just his acting. He's got great facial expressions. He really feels like a veteran in the world of tokusatsu now. I don't really know some of his other past work that he's definitely dabbled in, but I just personally recall him from Bosco and Gokaiger. But really thrilled to certainly see him. He definitely is going to bring some gravitas to this series for sure, and I think this episode just kind of highlighted that in its own right. But he's not the only one that's actually looking for Yuna. We actually get introduced to the real threat of this episode, a brand new Giant of Darkness that winds up appearing in Hoodrum. I really enjoy this costume design, to certainly say the least. I really even enjoy the voice actor that portrays him, really giving Hoodrum his own sort of personality, just through the vibes of his voice, if you will. Looks incredibly powerful, incredibly quick also, but he too is hunting down Yuzari and winds up kidnapping Yuna for himself, trying to do his best to kind of awaken Yuzari inside of Yuna, because he's trying to find the particular item in the Unity Core that we now come to find out that the Giants of Darkness, the whole entire team, if you will, the triple threat, are trying to find this particular item, and he needs to awaken Yuzari in order to do it. He does eventually come to figure out how to do so by actually endangering her life. Anytime that there's clearly like something bad's gonna happen to Yuna, the body that Yuzari is embodying, she winds up awakening to kind of defend the body, if you will. So there is certainly a weak point in regards to trying to get her back. And not only is Hoodrum trying to get Yuna, but clearly there's a past between him along with Ignis, something quite personal that the Lushurian is pretty pissed off about and wants to kind of handle when it comes to Hoodrum. I really hope that we get ourselves a future fight. But I am wondering what that situation is between them. Like, is it a situation like he destroyed my home planet at some point in time and I have a bone to pick with him, right? You know, Hoodrum does make an interesting reference in this episode, the fact that he mentions to Carmera that he's been awakened for the past century or so. So it seems as though he's been awake already, waiting for the others to certainly go ahead and wake up as well, so they can go ahead and team up. So I am curious what has happened in that 100-year period. Has he been hunting down Yuzari this entire time, since maybe she escaped from like these ancient ruins, or embodied, you know, has she been embodying several different people over the years or something like that? I'm wondering if this situation with the Lushurian and Ignis, the treasure hunter, is that something that happened within this past 100 years or so too? So I do love the history that comes with Hoodrum in this episode. I'm really eager to kind of find out more. But his battle with Ultraman was absolutely incredible, powerful, able to hold his own, super deadly, amazing speed. Even the idea, I love the idea that Carmera even boasts about Hoodrum's powers, saying that if he actually lost control, he could probably destroy the planet, right? So it kind of really puts in perspective the type of characters or villains that Ultraman Trigger is having to kind of face off against each and every week. Now, granted, he's always going to have, I'm assuming maybe these monsters that the Giant of Darkness sort of, bring forth to go ahead and run rain and destruction on Earth and things like that. But when these Giants of Darkness get into play, it's pretty much all hands on deck sort of thing, right? Like they're coming to hurt you, and they've got that type of power, and so that's pretty intimidating. I think it kind of definitely adds a little bit of stakes and risks when you're having to face off against these characters. And Ultraman is certainly and Ultraman certainly got off easy. I don't want to say easy, but got off lucky in this episode that he wind up having the backup that he did to go ahead and fend off Hoodrum. So I'm really fascinated to see what the Giants of Darkness are going to do now that they have their core team together. Both of them, all three of them, all on the same mission to go ahead and find the Eternity Core. But some great debuts by another supporting actor or a character in Ignis, along with the introduction to Hoodrum in here. I was really pleased with not only what he's capable of doing, but again, another fantastic costume design. They continue to kill it in the series so far in regards to what they're able to create, and it looks absolutely impressive on screen. And last but not least, guys, in regards to another thing that jumped out at me, I'm a really big fan of Gut Select, guys. All the different personalities, seeing how they all work and mesh together, really has become extremely enjoyable to me. Tishin, the guy with the big old smile all the time. We got Captain Seiya in here also, and one of my favorites that's already grown on me, in Hamari, who is in fact the Guts Falcon pilot. I absolutely love her personality. Like the idea that she goes from being very, I don't want to say stuck up or rude or anything, like sassy, but like clearly her and Marluru have issues with one another, right? Maybe she is a little bit uptight in the way that she handles herself, right? Always adjusting her glasses type of thing. But it's just so funny to me that when she does get her mission to start piloting the Falcon, it's like we got a completely different personality. It's like you really see her kind of come alive, and that type of personality is just super infectious. I mean, she's like, she's like screaming and woo, she's like she literally looks like she's having a blast, like she's playing some sort of video game or whatever, making the sound effects as she's like shooting off these bullets and things like that. I love her just infectiousness when it comes to her personality coming across screen, of her pure enjoyment of this, just the job that she winds up doing, right? It's like an adrenaline rush that's kind of taken over her, and this is what Hamari kind of turns into, and I think it's absolutely great, because when she's not in that cockpit, right, she's very much more refined, and holds herself a certain type of way. So I thought it was pretty great. And the interesting here too, that we get to see that the TPU has kind of added Ultraman to sort of like their most wanted, right? He becomes a high value surveillance target, which means that they don't really view him as a friendly quite yet. Like he could have any particular intentions, that they really don't know too much about this guy outside of what they've depicted from a slab of stone, you know what I mean? So how do we certainly view that? But once we do see that Ultraman is in fact on the friendly side and actually protects the Guts Falcon in here, I love the fact that we have a captain in Seiya that could easily kind of fall into that trope of, I'm gonna follow the rules, what the TPU tells me to do, I'm gonna do it, he's an enemy, attack Ultraman, right? Like I feel like that's such I feel like that's almost expected. But the fact that we get somebody like Captain Seiya in here who clearly has a mind of his own, understands what the TPU wants, but is seeing something completely different with his eyes and can kind of make that adjustment for himself, and like, let's show this man some support and fight along with him. I think that's awesome. I really enjoy great judgment, great character moment for Captain Seiya, and again, just seeing the pure joy that the rest of the crew gets from being able to fight alongside Ultraman, I thought it was great. I mean, the Guts Falcon, again, I've boasted about it each time that I've seen it, but this week it takes the cake. What an amazing performance in here in regards from going to flight modes. It's kind of more a tactical mode on the ground, side swiping through the buildings and stuff. Like, I love it. It's almost like Hamari's personality is kind of taking over me too. Like I want to be in that chair in that cockpit, just controlling it. It looks like so much fun, and she's certainly having a blast. But amazing action of seeing what this thing can do, and flying alongside Ultraman, and having each other's back. Like even seeing the Nurse Desi get involved in here, and seeing the fact that they legit have weaponry that can even stumble a Giant of Darkness. I think that says something. I think that's pretty damn impressive. So to have that kind of backup for Ultraman, I love this combination. I absolutely love this combination. And again, going back to just the chemistry and just the how these characters all kind of work together. The idea that we do have that issue between Marluru and Hamari, who can kind of both be pretty sassy towards each other. Like the idea of Marluru doing some squats with Tishin in here, right? And they talk about the idea that we could have some more flowers on board, right? We can have a little bit more feminine, tastes around here, sort of thing. And you got somebody like Hamari. What, is she not feminine enough for you? Maybe does she hold herself a certain type of way, right? And I love the fact that Marluru just adds at the end, look, some flowers can be kind of thorny, just the idea that, clearly she bites. Clearly Hamari has that type of tongue in the type of mouth that certainly bites when it's certainly needed. So I do love sort of that back and forth between those two characters that we wind up getting in here. But yeah, the action was absolutely incredible. If I have to go into some honorable mentions in here, but listen, I want to know what you guys think actually in regards to Gut Select. How are you enjoying some of these supporting characters? I think they really do add a great dynamic to this show, honestly. But other than that, honorable mentions, the Gazort winds up attacking, brand new monster that we wind up having. Ultraman's got to face off against that creature along with Hoodrum as well this week. Not even fair if you ask me, but amazing action as always. Getting the opportunity to see the Sky type kind of come in handy. Thanks a lot, Akito, for that extra power up. I thought the special effects for the flying wasn't too bad. I don't know if I probably would like the flying a little bit more at daylight. I just don't know how it worked being portrayed in the evening. But overall, I thought they handled it pretty well. I've been really impressed with just the special effects that we've gotten in general, and the action pieces. Again, the fluidity of actually just having humanoid bodies and things like that in these suits just add to an incredible levels of an athleticism that I'm not accustomed to when it comes to tokusatsu. So to be able to see this blows me away each and every week. Great cinematography and camera work again continues in here. Like the choice of having, I boasted about the idea, like, guys, I'm a sucker for sunset battles and nighttime battles, and hell, I'll even take an underwater battle that they gave us. But the fact that this week we got a sunset battle, man, I'm like, who's listening to me? Like, I know that they filmed this a long time ago, but it's like, damn, it's hitting all my favorite aspects of tokusatsu fights that I'm a big fan of. So great cinematography, the idea of having Ultraman in front of the sunset, just beautiful looking. So yeah, I hope they pat themselves on the back for doing one hell of a job in here. But yeah, continues to blow me away. Even the landing that he wind up taking, right, when he gets attacked and he falls out of the ground and he crashes through the building, there is just something really heavy about the destruction and the blows that happen in these battles, and I'm here for it, guys. I'm truly here for it. Other than that, guy, not even a bad civilian fight that we wind up having with Ignis and Kengo along with the Akito. I thought they did pretty good in here. So overall, guys, episode 3 continued to be hella impressive to me. I'm kind of curious to know what you guys have thought so far. 3 episodes into this series. Are you hooked like myself? Are you coming back for more? I definitely would love to know your guys' thoughts in the comment section box or the live chat below. But other than that, guys, listen, we're definitely going to be back here for you guys next weekend as well for another Ultraman Trigger episode. Yeah, I hope it continues to blow me away. I've been really impressed so far with what I've seen. But until next time, guys, do me a big favor. As always, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and until next time, keep it A+. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.